In today's episode, let's talk about a quote that I read last year that I loved from Andrej Karpathy, who was a co-founder of OpenAI. He said in January 2023, the hottest programming language in 2023 is plain English. This is specific to generative AI, large language models, to be really specific. And Karpathy, co-founder of OpenAI, worked at Tesla, and, built some of the vision software there. Really one of the pioneers in the space. If you watch his YouTube channel, you can see him like, hey, let's build a language model from scratch. You're like, that's like, watching something. Let's build an automobile from scratch. And they go out in the backyard with their forge and, start forging pieces of metal. Like, oh, this dude knows how these things work. This quote has stuck with me over time because of what it implicitly says, what it teaches us about using generative AI, using large language models, what capabilities it unlocks. And here's why. We think correctly most of the time of large language models, the ones that power ChatGPT and other tools, as conversational models. We talk to them like people, right? We ask questions, we get specific, we show examples, we do all sorts of things that you and I naturally do as humans. I say in a lot of my keynotes, treat this like the world's smartest intern, right? This intern's got 255 PhDs, a really smart intern, but they don't know your company. So you still have to explain things, you still have to show examples, you have to still have a conversation with them. And that conversational style of working with language models works. Models understand that, they get that. They work with that because that's what they're trained on, vast amounts of human language. And they're pretty good at that. That's why so many of us use these language models. But they're also trained on vast data sets of real programming languages, C and Python, Java, PHP, R, COBOL, right? DM Algol 2, like old mainframe code. They speak these computer languages exceptionally well because computer languages are unambiguous. Right? Humans speak and write with a great deal of ambiguity. Machines don't do that. Machines, you get creative in your use of language, and your code just doesn't work. You just get errors. There's only so many ways you can word things and stay within the syntax of computer languages, and that's why language models are so good at them, because they can produce results that are highly predictable. You know that there's not going to be a character after the left arrow in an R variable assignment. There just can't be. The statement will not work. The code will break. So no one does that. There are no examples of that is learned, and things work just fine. But humans, we have so much ambiguity in our language, especially in tonal languages, but even in non-tonal languages. English is largely regarded as a non-tonal language, where it means that the way you say something influences the meaning of it. English is technically non-tonal, but you can come up with different meanings in a sentence just based on how you emphasize things, right? You can say, that's what she said, implying it's about what it is the person said. You could say, that's what she said, not why. That's what she said. Oh, the person. That's you're talking about the person. That's what she said. Sort of disbelief about the content. Saying that 4 different tones creates 4 different sentences, and when a machine looks at that text, it's like, I don't know what that means. Again, programming languages don't have this problem. Programming languages do not have that level of ambiguity. They are much less forgiving of mistakes and bad grammar. They're more precise. So, where am I going with all this? Well, let's go back to Karpathy's quote. The hottest programming language in 2023 is plain English. What if English was a programming language? Well, in a generative model, it is. Right? You can do things like control structures, if-then statements, while statements, and for loops. Familiar friends from computer programming languages, you just say it in English instead of computer code. If you're making a dad joke, tool, you can say, if the user says this, do that. If the user doesn't include this, do this. Until the user says stop, do this. You just write out these instructions in plain language. Maybe you format them and do some indenting and things. Do you see how powerful that is? You can make your prompts, your use of large language models, incredibly powerful by adopting these programming structures, the logic of programming, into regular language. You don't have to write in computer code, but you're thinking in computer code. You're thinking, how do I set up this set of statements in plain English in a prompt? And because large language models understand both human language and computer language, they can operate human language formatted like computer programming languages to the same good effects. You can program in human language. You can program in Danish. You can program in Japanese or Ukrainian by adopting these structures, the logic of computer programming, into your language. This, when I learned this, was mind-blowing. It's mind-opening. You can program today's AI with the same programming skills used in computer languages, only with language you speak and write every single day. And you will be amazed at how much more you can accomplish with AI, because you're now bringing that structure and that logic to generative AI, to prompting in language that everyone can understand. So give that some thought. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you on the next one. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to know when new videos are available, hit the bell button to be notified as soon as new content is live.